Right, so in the last video, we actually went to predicting the range, or we completed our predicting the range. And now what we want to do is we want to take the same information and we want to interpolate. Interpolation is when you have two values that are known. And I'll just close this down. And let's move over here and create a space. And let's just call this interpolation. That'll be good enough. So this is interpolation. Interpolation is when you have two values that are known. Let's just call this our x and our y. It can be anything. So we have a value here, and it's some x sub 1, comma, y sub 1. And then we have another point here, and it's x sub 2, y sub 2. And if we're going to interpolate, what we do is we basically find out, or we make guesses based on these two known values on what's in between here. Okay, so we'll set up 20 points in between, or we'll set up a variety of points in between these 2 points, and we'll interpolate in between them. Okay, that's pretty much the idea. So we have 2 points, and the 2 points that we have are 0 and 20. So between 0 and 20, we want to interpolate. And let's just go ahead and go to our folder on interpolation, and let's look at that file. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. What I mean, if I go down here to the interpolation template, you'll see that we have angle in degrees, from 0 to 20. So basically, we've measured what's happening at 0, and we've measured what's happening at 20. And we're going to allow ourselves to build increments between our values for C at 0 degrees and our values for C at 20 degrees. And we're basically guessing between these values. And so you'll see how that goes in just 1 second. We'll need to go ahead and get our data from our initial velocity, and it's going to produce something in our prediction template. And we'll also need to go and get our data for our verification, and it's going to as well produce something in the prediction template, but also the interpolation template. So let's just go back. Let's go back to predicting the range. And under predicting the range, let's grab our initial velocity and let's copy that. So it should have copy, but we know it's where it's coming from. So this is our initial velocity, and we know it because it's 0 and 40, 0 and 40, on and on and on. So I'll just select on the file here and then duplicate. So you'll see that it says copy to. We want to save this to our interpolation folder, and I'll just save it here. So we have one data set. You know what? Let's just go ahead and copy this data set. And once we copy it, let's go back and put that into our interpolation. Last name, first name here. You'll see interpolation, last name, first name here. We'll change that in the end. And we're going to go to our initial velocity template here. And we're just going to grab B and C and then paste. And you'll see that everything is coming out the same way as it did before. Our prediction template is coming out as well. And now we need our data for our verification template. So let's just go back. And we need to go back to predicting the range. It's not going back for me. So what I'll do is I'll close it. and I'll go back into it. So I'm going to go back into my file here, and of course, let's just go back into physics brass Eric. Not interpolation. I actually need to go to predicting the range, and I'm just going to pick verification 1 here. Verification 1 data collection, brass Eric. And I'm just going to grab this data. Okay, it'll be sufficient. But actually, before I grab it, I want to actually duplicate it to that file. I kind of want the file to be self-contained. So if we build a report, let's just say I put a template for a report in there, you guys will know where all of your information is going to be located. So I'm going to go back to interpolation and then save. And now we know that we have these two. Let's go ahead and just reiterate that we're going to go to our interpolation page. I didn't copy the data, but I just want to reiterate what we're doing. So we're gonna, this data should be in here. Did I put it in the wrong one? Okay, so the last data set didn't copy over. So let's go back into that folder, interpolation, and you'll see we have our initial velocity data collected. I want to go ahead and do that again. And let's just copy this data and go back into our interpolation sheet. And then paste it into our initial velocity template. So you'll see everything should come out. So I'm going to go back. All right, good. It went back for me. Now I'm going to go to and grab my verification information. And then we're just going to copy this. Go back and go to our interpolation. Then we're just going to, instead of putting it into our initial velocity, we're going to put it into our verification template. If you look at predicting the range, it's almost there. Go here, select on A and B, and then paste. And so all of our information is coming out nicely, and you'll see that everything is pasted in quite nice here. We have ourselves an error of 4.8%, and if we go to our interpolation template, you will see that these things have been pasted in as well. So we have our initial velocity here, we have our angle in degrees all the way down, and then we have our angle in radians. These are just calculations. The angle in degrees, these are just numbers that are placed in. These numbers are referring to each other, and then of course this is a calculation. And then B is a calculation, it's the y velocity, and then we have increments. And each one of these increments is based on the first value and the last value here. And so we increment between, we basically just take the first value, the last value, divide it by the first value, and then not divide it. We take the first value, subtract it by we take the last value, subtract it by the first value, and then divide it by 20, because we have 20 angles here. And then we just increment our height. So you can see that the height is just getting greater and greater and greater, and it goes all the way up to 0.129. Okay, and our time of flight is calculated, and then we have our angle in degrees. This is the same thing as we had before, and then we have our predicted range here. And so we are going to graph our angle in degrees with our predicted range, and you'll see that it's graphed right here for you. And so what is this saying? This is saying that we can have our angle in degrees down here. So we can have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and any angle in between. And there's a corresponding range in the x direction in meters. I want to see if I can change this layout here. I'm going to try this one. It didn't really do much. Let's try this one. That's not doing much. Let's try that one. Nope, nope, nothing. That's not really doing much. Not for what I want to see happen. No. I don't know why it's not really coming out the way I want it to come out. But I want grids here. So let me look at the elements. Oh, there we go. Grid lines. So I want primary, major, minor, minor. I want all of them. But they still only give me a few of them. So I really wanted more grid lines than this, but this is okay. And my title is gone away, so I'm just going to back this all the way up and keep it where it was in the beginning. And you can do the same thing. Leave it just like this. Okay? Now, submit this. Make sure you go back and then make sure you submit this, this link from Dropbox to the STEM site. And once you do that, that will complete this assignment.